Mary Morgan of the Morgan Network. Welcome to Marketing Sense. Today I'm in San Mateo and delighted to be asking my friend and colleague Dave Patnaik 3 questions about marketing these days. Greetings, Dave. For people that don't know you, tell us about you and what you do.
Thanks, Mary. It's great to spend some time with you. We've known each other for a while in my professional career. I run a company called Jump Associates, and Jump is a strategy firm helping companies figure out ambiguous questions around growth. We help companies to create new businesses or reinvent existing ones. And typically, they will come to us with a highly ambiguous question, like Procter & Gamble has woken up and said, oh my goodness, what does the future of water look like? Because we think that we're going to spend time fighting wars over water in the next 100 years, like we spent time fighting wars over oil in the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. And when you look at all of the things that Procter & Gamble makes, whether it's detergent or soap or shampoo, all of those things are predicated on free and easy access to water, mm-hmm. right? And so what does that mean for them? And oh, by the way, they'd love to have a new $200 million business come out of it pretty darn quickly too. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time on that. And then I take what I learn here at Jump in terms of creating new businesses, and I apply it down the road in my other career teaching at Stanford. I teach a class called Need Finding in the design school, and it's basically kind of social science for MBAs and designers. I've also been spending some time writing of late, and I wrote a book recently called Wired to Care. And it's about how companies prosper when they have a widespread empathy throughout their organization for the people that they ultimately serve. Yeah, and that means the ordinary customers that buy their stuff.
Now for the 3 questions. Question 1, what should be on every innovator's mind these days?
The thing about innovation nowadays is that most companies have gotten incredibly good at coming up with new and novel answers to the questions that you pose. The problem is figuring out what the right questions are that you need to ask those companies. And those are the things that most organizations are not set up to do. We have built these large organizations that are really good at solving highly complicated problems, and they're really bad at solving highly ambiguous problems. Mm-hmm. And the difference between an ambiguous problem and a complicated problem is really clear. I mean, think of playing chess. Chess is a complex problem, right? But it's a very clear problem. There's only 64 squares and there's 32 pieces, and it's not like new types of pieces show up in the middle of the game, right? And so it's the kind of thing you can teach a computer to do. Right? Now, an ambiguous problem isn't like a chess game. It's like having your in-laws over to dinner for the first time. Right? That's a relatively simple problem, but my goodness, there's a lot of ambiguity in it. And the kind of problems that companies are facing are more problems of ambiguity, not problems of complexity, which is figuring out what the right question is. What is it that we should be focusing on? And I think that's where folks like Steve Jobs have done a great job, which is he's kind of chief question asker for Apple. And he kind of sets up that question for the organization to go solve. So often when we're working with companies, it's operating on figuring out what the strategy is by first figuring out what is the question that we're trying to answer here.
Question 2, can you share with us a favorite innovation success story?
I have to say I'm probably most proud of the work that we've done with Target over the last 10, 15 years, helping to turn Target into Target. And it started with a very basic idea, which is that maybe we shouldn't be competing with Walmart to shave a half a cent off the cost of a bottle of Tide detergent, and that maybe people would pay a little bit more for something that was a whole lot more meaningful in their lives. And that transformation has just been amazing to watch, both internally within the company and externally, and the impact it's had on the culture. And we've seen it in amazing ways. I mean, you watch, 4 women on a Friday night who kind of have a girls' night out, and they go out to dinner, and then they go shopping at Target, right? I mean, like, shopping at Target is their entertainment. Or, a dad on a Sunday who is hanging out with his kids, and they don't know what to do, and it's snowing outside, so they go to Target instead, and they walk around. And that kind of connection to people is, I think, what Target has been able to do. And so it's a huge innovation. Probably the best story of that was something that our folks at Jump, came across a few years ago. We were interviewing a woman, and she didn't know we were working with Target. We just asked, so where do you shop and why? And this one woman said something that I found pretty profound. She said, I love Target, and the reason I shop at Target is because not about the price, not about the value or the selection, it's because when I was divorcing my first husband, I felt so weird. I felt so abnormal that I would go to Target 3 times a week just to be around other people who looked like me so I wouldn't lose my mind. And that's why I shop at Target. And it was when I heard that story, I knew that we were finally getting into a very different business than saying, we've got a better coupon or we've got a better circular than the other guy down the street. And so to me, that's what I'm most proud of. It's when innovation actually creates value for people by changing people's lives for the better.
Last question. What advice would you offer to inspire innovation?
You know, we get a lot of folks who come to Jump, trying to figure out how to innovate. And because our headquarters is here in California, in Silicon Valley, we have people who come on the innovation tour bus, right? They go visit Google and Apple and Pixar, and they want to see what innovation is like. And by the time they come to visit us at the end of the week, their question for us is, how can we be more like Google? How can we be more like Apple? And that's the first thing that we have to kind of disabuse them of, is to tell them, don't try to be like Apple, don't try to be like Google, be more like yourselves. Get back to what makes you great. Because if you're a company of any size, surely you've done something right in the last 10 years, in the last 50 years, in the last 100 years. And so what you need to do is figure out what those great moments were. What were the days when you were firing on all cylinders and doing great stuff? And how do you have those great days every day? And that's the key to success, is to actually get back to what makes you great and play to your strengths.
Thanks much for the time and the insights, Dave.
It's my pleasure, Mary.